Well, hello, friends, and welcome to yet another fun episode of Bad Beard's podcast. I am Sam Schneider. I am Bad Beard, and today we are deep in the jungles of Florida. We're not. My house is actually over there. But today on the episode, we are talking to Marc Altieri. Marc Altieri is a good friend, mentor, and expert in his field. He is directing, producing, and he has been in business for over 20 years in marketing. So we're in the brand amp, Costa Mesa. Sitting in his wonderful, is it his office? Is it his art studio? You be the deciding factor on that. But check it out. We talk about all things over an hour and 10 minutes of good times. So I'm here with Marc Altieri of the brand Amp. I have had the fortune of knowing you for several years now.
Oh, yeah.
In lots of different capacities that I've been shooting and riding and writing and all the things. And fortune has brought us back together.
Oh, yeah.
And we're here, Juneteenth.
Yeah, always great to see you. Glad we could do this. Super pumped and stoked to be on the podcast. My first podcast.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You're a mouth, dude.
Yeah, but you know, as an agency guy, we're kind of the...
behind the scenes?
Yeah, we're the Oz behind the curtain people, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, our job is to do things that are going to, make our clients and the brand successful, but if I'm doing my job well, my clients are getting promoted, they're getting raises, they're taking credit, and they should, because most of the stuff we do is collaborative, but it's almost like a cardinal rule in agency work that you don't want to be the person out front, you don't want to be the one getting the credit.
Yeah.
And the more our clients are successful, the more they're getting pats on the back, the more they're getting raises and promotions. Guess what? They're going to keep coming back to us, and we're going to be their favorite vendor.
So those checks clear.
Yeah. So go figure. It's a pretty basic principle, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I haven't done a lot of podcasts or anything like that.
Well, I'm happier on mine, and then just to step back a little bit for my friends at home and the ones that are following along. Let's do a proper introduction on who you are, just a little bit of background.
You got it. So yeah, I'm Marc Altieri. I am one of 3 co-founders here at the Brand Amp. Mm-hmm. We are an integrated marketing agency that works across a lot of different industry categories and verticals. You know me, and a lot of people know me through a lot of work we've done over really the last 16 years in powersports, the V-twin motorcycle industry. That started back with us repping Bell helmets for 7 or 8 years. Bell helmets opened the door to do work now with Indian Motorcycle. We've been really the core agency partner for Indian Motorcycle since 2017 for 8 years. And that's been a hell of a lot of fun to work on a brand that I love, in a category I love, but to actually come alongside a brand like that and all the great people that work there and build something, because there was a while there, early on, there was nothing but skepticism about Indian Motorcycle. Is this even going to survive?
Because they have a deep history, but you were a party to helping build that brand back to where it is.
Well, Indian Motorcycle, it's America's first motorcycle company. It's going to be 125 years old next year. But
doesn't look a day over 90.
But in 1954, it ceased operations. Literally, Indian Motorcycle didn't exist as a business or a brand from 1954 until probably you get into the 90s, and different independent groups tried to resurrect it, and they never had either the infrastructure, the money, or the know-how to do it right. So it kind of reemerged and died, and reemerged and died. And then it was in, I believe, 2014 or so, that Polaris was able to buy Indian Motorcycle. And the launch of the brand again happened in like 16-ish. So they'd been going for about a year, and then they brought us in 17. So we really rode this wave with them for the entirety of this new era of Indian Motorcycle under the Polaris ownership. And the funny thing is, the way it is in the motorcycle industry, right? It's so much like automotive, Ford, Chevy, you pick your team. I mean, we're living in a country where it's all about picking sides, right? And motorcycles are that way. And so you're either a Indian guy or a Harley guy, and there's a lot of Harley guys. We all know that. They've built an empire,
right?
And God love them. And I'm a motorcycle guy, so I don't hate on any of it. I love it all. But like when the Indian thing resurrected, all those kind of Harley blind loyalists and all those people in the industry are like, fuck that, this is Polaris, it's not Indian Motorcycle, this is snowmobiles and side-by-sides. And I would just laugh at that, because if you got half a brain, you know that what company better to resurrect a brand like Indian Motorcycle than an esteemed power sports brand that has plenty of capital, all the infrastructure of R&D, product development, all of that, legal, regulatory. It would take only a company and an entity like Polaris to have the resource to actually do that and pull it off. And so early on, we just roll our eyes like, you're a knucklehead. What are you talking about? And I mean, and Polaris had run Victory motorcycles. You've heard of Victory. Victory lived a good 5-7 year life, and
Great
they were
engines.
great motorcycles. Yeah, never got knocked for the product.
Yeah.
It may not be some people's cup of tea, but again, it was the same ill they were suffering. You know, most people are in the V-twin space. It's Harley, and if it ain't Harley, it sucks.
Yeah.
And so it's been a lot of fun. Because now it's like, man, we got over 150,000 riders out on the road.
Well, with the infrastructure you mentioned with Polaris, like as a customer, that's what you want, because you don't want to buy something that then you can't service. You have to maintain. And you know,
100%.
Harley has reputations that ebb and flow like all folks, but like Indians, that's a good baseline there.
It's been a lot of fun, and like they're at the point now where Indians outright leader in midsize for motorcycles. I think they're almost up to 40% market share. And then even in heavyweight, they're just continue to nip and chip away at Harley's market share there. And if you know anything about the business of motorcycles, heavyweights is where the money is, right?
Yeah.
The margins and the revenue that comes from that side of the business. So every percentage point of market share represents
What is that
a
market
lot.
share? Do you know the actual breakdown?
Not something I could probably talk about, or they'd want me talking about. Sorry, but but put it this way: they're into they've crept up into a very respectable percentage in the heavyweight space.
Yeah.
Harley is still the outright dominator, and I don't know that there will ever be a day where they're not. If that day comes, it'll be far down the road.
Right.
But yeah, so anyway, motorcycle industry, we're known really for a lot of that. We do Indian, we do Cardo systems. We've done a lot of work with Troy Lee Designs in the motocross space. So I'm kind of become the guy here at the Brand Amp that oversees all of that power sports type of business. If it's power sports, if it's action sports, if it's fuel and adrenaline, I'm on it. But we do a lot of other categories. We've represented DirecTV. I'm talking... We've been with DirecTV. I worked there in-house for several years, and then coming out of that, they hired my agency that I went to work for. And we have represented them since then. That's been 19 years, I think.
So before Brand Amp, you were in DirecTV.
Yeah, background, I mean, going way back. Like the Brand Amp thing.
Go way back.
Yeah, the Brand Amp thing has been incredible. We've been the Brand Amp for 11 years, and my business partner and I actually started, what led to the Brand Amp was... I was working at, let me go way back.
Go way back.
Dude, early on. So I'm a guy, I got out of high school, I was a musician. Big time into drumming. And I mean, that's all I did.
Yeah, and you can't see it, but the camera setup is about a foot from his drum set.
Yeah, there's drums in here, and I did that. That's all I wanted to do. And I was playing, in the 80s scene, I was on Sunset Strip playing in metal bands. But I wasn't just a metal guy. I studied with different teachers, Latin music, fusion, funk, jazz. But metal definitely was where my heart was. And I grew up loving heavy metal. That's what I cut my teeth on as a kid. And so music was what I did for a long, long time. And I was pretty good. And but music, like acting or modeling or anything like that, which you know all too well, because these are areas that you've invested yourself into, it's not always about how talented you are, right? In fact, it's less about that, and it's more about how much are you willing to sacrifice to network, to slave up on the Sunset Strip, live in a shitty apartment, eat cup of noodles, and hang out around studios and hope some producer or somebody discovers you. Yeah. And man, I'm a guy that does not want to leave things to chance and to luck or good fortune. And I know you make your luck and I know you make your fortune. I still believe in that. But I still was a guy that wanted to really control my destiny. So after a while on the drum, I had too many buddies that were in their 40s working behind the counter at Guitar Center. And they were incredible musicians. And I'm like, ugh, that doesn't look like a future that I'm really digging, So I went back to school.
When at this point you're married?
No,
You're still single at this point?
No, I was single a long time. That's a whole other podcast. But I was single, and I just was like, man, I'm gonna go back to school. And I still played drums. I was still drumming. I always loved it. I still do. But I went back to school and just eked out over time my degree in marketing while I was working day jobs. And so while I was in my last year of college at Cal State Long Beach, and now I'm an old student at this point, right? Because I went back to school later after trying my hand at the drumming. So I'm like 27-year-old student, and I had two cool things that worked out really well for me. One was my brother had started a path in public relations in sports in LA. And so he was working, this is back when the Lakers and the Kings still played at the Forum. This is before what is now Crypto.com and what Staples Center or whatever else. And he worked on all the crappy little sports that nobody cares about. God bless him. He now works for the Los Angeles Kings hockey team and has for 30 years, and his career's been awesome. But he was slaving away promoting rodeo and ice capades and roller hockey and all this little niche shit that happened at the Forum in and around the Lakers and the Kings. But because he's in the four walls, within the walls of the Forum, he's really great friends with all the people at the Lakers and the Kings. And I was his long-haired drummer brother, and I would come and hang out with him at events. And I played golf. I'm a diehard golfer. Everybody who knows me knows this. I play way too much golf. But, I'd go play golf with him. So I'd go play golf with the director of public relations for the friggin' Lakers. Yeah. And these guys would like me because I'm like this long-haired dude, and they're like, who's this brother? He doesn't look corporate. And I was a good stick at golf. And like, whoa. So I would endear myself. And so I was able to get an internship with the Lakers in my last year of college, and also started interning with a big-time PR firm called Hill & Knowlton, huge conglomerate, multiple offices all over the globe. So I had these, just talk about incredible internships. I'm working with the Lakers. I'm sitting next to the PR director courtside on game nights. The year before, and then my second year there was the year Shaq and Kobe came to the Lakers. Oh, wow. So I'm at the Lakers when the entire global media world is converging on the Lakers because of Shaq and Kobe and the whole thing. What an education. Yeah, and not only that, but just relationships. I'm sitting on press row next to all the beat writers, NBA national writers, ESPN producers, all the local television folks here in LA. They all knew me. Yeah. And so when I go to my agency job during the day, because I'd work Lakers at night, game nights, and then agency during the day, I'm on these crappy little pitches for maybe a charity golf event happening in LA somewhere. Well, I can just pick up the phone and call Jim Hill, who's been the sports anchor for CBS in LA for 35 years. Like, he's iconic here. Hey, Jim, what's up? And I was the guy who sat courtside with Jim Hill, and I used to point out all the hot women in the crowd for Jim, and I was his guy. He'd go, Mark, you got to tell me who's here tonight. And I'd find, look at that row, section 13, row seat 3. Oh, that's a good one, So we just broing out, guys broing out at games. But I had this network, and I was able to take all those relationships from the Lakers and bring value to the agency I was working at, and I just shot right up really quick. It just kind of really accelerated things for me. So then the agency world, I stepped away from that for 5 years because I got a chance to go work for DirecTV. This is when DirecTV was in the peak of its powers. NFL Sunday Ticket, sports packages to let you see all the different games, not just the ones the network showed in your market. And because of those relationships DirecTV had with those major leagues, my job, cush job, I was the PR manager for DirecTV Sports. So I'm interfacing with the PR and marketing people from the NFL and the NBA and Major League Baseball. And I also started realizing that, this is back before influencer marketing. Right. But I started realizing hey, these athletes want satellite service and they want dishes on their houses. And so I would get a hold of reps, or in some cases, if I'm out at an event and I see an athlete, said NFL player, I'd go up to him, hey, here's who I am. I'm the rep for DirecTV. What if I could hook up your home and your summer home and your dad's home with free satellite service? And would you do an event appearance for me? So I started working these angles. And
this whole influencer world is your fault.
Yeah. And so that was really cool, though. It was just really cool, though, because at the time, it didn't seem like brain surgery to me.
Right. It just made sense.
But the people at DirecTV were like, this guy's awesome. I'm making all this stuff happen. I'm getting now Hall of Fame players like Tony Gonzalez, a famous tight end, and different athletes. And they're showing up at events for nothing. Yeah. And other stuff that had happened at the time, because when I was at Hill & Knowlton, the year before I went to work at DirecTV, was the year Mark McGwire had the big home run race in Major League Baseball to break Roger Maris's record. The Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa. Oh, yeah. Well, Mark McGwire was so huge at the time that the St. Louis Cardinals couldn't handle all the incoming media requests. And So they said, you need to hire an agency. Well, he was from Orange County, and we were the only agency at Hill & Knowlton that has sports division, and I worked in the sports division. And so they hired us, Marc hired us. And so I kind of became Marc McGuire's guy. And I would be his rep, take him out to events, anything media was involved with.
During that era?
The year after.
Oh, wow.
So this is on the heels of it. I mean, the Pope was visiting the U.S., and we literally got a phone call from the Vatican communications director because the Pope wanted to meet Marc McGuire.
Sure.
That's where Marc McGuire was at in his career, right?
Yeah.
He was like a modern day Paul Bunyan, right? So these things are happening, kind of converging. And so after working with Marc for a year, and on a lot of other clients too, DirecTV, things like that, I went to move on to DirecTV, and other things that happened. Marc McGuire is going to sign his last contract with the Cardinals. This was before the steroid scandals and congressional hearings on steroids, which basically, unfortunately, really put a black eye and a blemish on Marc McGuire's entire career, and a lot of other athletes too in baseball. But he steps up to the podium. It's on CNN, because at the time, he's still Marc McGuire. He just broke the record. He unified the nation around baseball. And so they're running his press conference on all the major national networks, Fox, CNN, everybody's running it live. And he steps up to the podium, he's wearing a DirecTV sports hat.
Hey.
He texts me, I get a text 5 minutes after his press conference, hey fucker, I hope you're happy.
Hey.
You know, like just cool shit happening. Like stuff that I can't lay credit to, but grateful for and awesome.
He planted the seeds.
So to speak. But so a lot of things happened in that period of time that just helped me really have a level of
Were you
passion.
identifying these moments along the way as like, oh, that makes sense, and then you can, or was it just a matter of just like you said, riding the wave, and you were just like, just still showing up?
Yeah, a little both. A little both. You know, because there was definitely, I was calculated about all the relationship building with the athletes through my role at DirecTV, because I knew I had something they wanted. I mean, that's what influencer marketing is, right? Like if you're working for a brand that's got something of real value, then you can get people to do stuff for you, you know, and maybe not have to sign big checks, right? Versus a commoditized product where, man, you're paying somebody to do it. You know, you're making toothpaste. Nobody cares if you're going to give them a year's supply of toothpaste, right? You give me some money, right?
Yeah, but what do you think, huh?
So anyway, so that was all of that stuff that led to my own agency situation, and that was where my partner here at the Brand Amp and I were both working at Hill & Knowlton. And we had an agency in Atlanta that contacted us and wanted to buy a shop on the West Coast. We had worked with this agency before. They repped some athletes, and we had worked with their athletes in programs we did at the agency. And I had worked with some of them while I was at DirecTV too. And what happened is I left DirecTV, came back to Hill & Knowlton, and literally it wasn't even 4 months I was there, and this opportunity came up. And my business partner Todd Brooks and I were tight, we're buds. And we said, hey, whoa. Instead of us telling you what agencies you should try to buy, let us start one for you. We think we can bring DirecTV, Marc McGuire, TaylorMade Golf was a client at the time, biggest golf company in the world. So we think we can start from scratch with some revenue that pays for us and probably pays for a couple employees right out of the gate. And that's exactly what happened. They hired us, made an investment, got us office space here in Seal Beach, California. And the day we opened the doors, we had 4 clients, big brands, and it started from there. We did that for this company. They were called Leader Enterprises out of Atlanta. And we did that for a decade. And then I had been for several years elbowing my partner. Now remember, I'm in my 30s
This is Todd
at the time.
elbowing.
Yeah, I'm in my late 30s now at this point. As time has gone by, and I'm still single, man. You know, I got nothing to lose. I'm like, what are we doing? We should be doing this on our own.
Look out, man.
The guys in Atlanta, by the way, they didn't do anything we did. The PR, the social media, the event marketing, they didn't do that at their shop. Their shop did retail, promotional, point of purchase stuff for General Mills, massive. But that's all they did, right? Coupons off, 10%, 10 or 80 cents off this jar of Old El Paso salsa. Or like win a trip to NASCAR to meet Richard Petty on the side of a box of Lucky Charms, right? Whatever. They did all that stuff. We did all this other stuff that was really the emerging disciplines in marketing. Social media, utilizing influencers, content development was starting to emerge. They couldn't do any of it. But my business partner was in a very different life track than me. He had 3 kids under 5 and a mortgage. And he's like, man, I don't know, I can't risk that. And But if we finally got to a point where I think he gained enough sense of security and confidence in what we were doing, and some things happened with those partners in Atlanta. They started really getting in on our business with their wrenches and their bean counters and wanting to tell us how we should service our clients. And at that point, that was enough for Todd, my partner. So we broke away. And I won't get into all the details of that, but we were able to buy our book of business away from those guys and literally become the brand amp. And at that point, we already had 20-some different brands, clients. We had about 31 staff members. Wow. So that just all became the brand amp.
Well, and the brand amp, tell me specifically where the brand amp,
so
like, amplifier?
Yes, that comes a lot from my musical background. And Todd loved it as well. And it was something where we always said we amplify brands, even when we worked for Leader. And that's what marketing agencies do, right? And so, but we went with the brand amp. You know, I brought it up. He was like, man, that's pretty cool. We did some domain searches. There was actually a brand amp, not the brand amp, in like North Carolina, small shop. But we realized if we were the brand amp, we could go and do that.
Right.
So we did that. And the reason we liked it was because like an amplifier isn't, like, people think of amplifiers and they think about volume. But amplifiers, it's mixing. You've got, you know, bass, treble, gain, like all the different things, right? You're dialing in a sound. An amplifier is designed to dial in and deliver whatever style or vibe or sound of said musician or band. So and that's the way brands
not
are,
just
right?
a pass through.
Yeah, some brands are metal and edgy and loud and abrasive. Other brands are jazz and smooth and sultry, and other brands are R&B and funky. And we liked this analogy that our agency was an amplifier for brands, and we could dial in whatever your brand sound is and convey that. So that's where the idea of the brand amp and calling it that came. And we have fun with it. We have platinum records on our walls that represent great campaigns we've done. If we did a great campaign and we hit big numbers, you know, we create a little platinum record. So
there's a lot of platinum records on the walls, guys.
And our capabilities booklet, we try to find OG classic album covers and like modify them to be the brand amp. So we did Abbey Road first, and we had some of our staff members walking across the street. And we just did a new one where we used Mothership, this Zeppelin album, which is like an animated cover with a huge, you know, Zeppelin blimp, you know, and we work our brand logo. So we
and not to throw us too far off, but art is a big aspect of your world and what moves you and influences how you operate your business. You know, we're sitting in your office, and in our wide shot, you can see there's a lot going on, you know, and different pieces and collections, and obviously we're friends. I follow you on the socials. That I always love when you get a new piece. I'm like, all right, what we got this time?
I'm a big art guy. I always was into art and drawing as a kid. And I think it also comes from my love of hard rock and heavy metal. Because whether it's 70s rock like Zeppelin and Sabbath, or whether it's moving into the 80s with Iron Maiden and Ronnie James Dio, think about all those bands. It was about their album cover. Album covers were a big deal. Big deal, right? Like, and the album covers would always had commissioned original art, dark, edgy, kind of, you know, and that's where my art tastes are. So I'm huge into art, and I collect art, and I enjoy it because I develop relationships with the artists and the gallery curators, and it's just a cool community of people that are like us. They're just creative people, they're open-minded, it's a really cool community. And so I love the art, and I love being surrounded by it in my house and here in my office. And as you can see, I got this massive 20 by 40 foot mural that my buddy Jeff and his, their outdoor muralist, his crew did for me when we first moved in. And it's got everything I love in it. It's got a chopper, and it's got drums, and
there's a full studio over there already set up for podcasts. There's the conference rooms. There's lots of great lighting. And I got my running gun set up, but he goes, well, where do you want to set up? I was like, in your freaking office, dude. Like, this is a Marc Altieri episode. I want to showcase.
This place has all kinds of names. The Dungeon, the Meat Locker.
The Meat Locker.
People ask me what your office like, and I say it's like if Willy Wonka had a tattoo shop or something. Like, it's just colorful and crazy and wacky and scary all at the same time.
It's fun,
So yeah, man, so art's a big deal, but that's kind of the path that got me, you know, through those other jobs, DirecTV and then the agency life, and then finally being able to start the brand amp. And we've been doing brand amp now, we're in our 11th year as the brand amp. And yeah, it's not just power sports though, it's a lot of different, it's tech, it's fitness, it's Traeger grills, it's Mitsubishi Motors, Kumho Tire, many different brands in many different categories. And that's probably the coolest part of my job, is it's hard for something to get stale and old when for 3 hours during the day you're focused on between motorcycles, and then 3 other hours during the day you're working on some golf related thing, and then you're turning around and working on something tied into maybe Oscars week or the Rose Parade or different things. Like,
always different.
It's just always different. And I love that about my job. I mean, I love that we get to kind of ramp up quickly and learn a lot of new shit. Like, I remember back in the day at one of my first jobs, we got hired by the National Hot Rod Association drag racing. I didn't give two shits about drag racing at the time. But I had to learn quickly about drag racing and the difference of classes and top fuel and funny car and pro stock, and I got into it, you know, and it's such a cool thing to know that I'm always going to have some new thing that's going to allow me to learn something new.
Well, because you got to stay relevant, and equally you can see how they all intermingle, and you can utilize and leverage each of them to facilitate something else.
Yeah, it's one of the things I think when people say, you know, some brands like to bring all their marketing in-house, other brands like to work with agencies. My big pitch for agencies is agencies can draw from all these diverse experiences. Like, sometimes I'll come up with an idea, or Todd or one of us here will come up with an idea that we've never thought of and never done. But a lot of times, it's like, hey, remember that successful thing we did for that electronics brand? Well, nobody in the motorcycle world might be aware of that. Well, let's use that and reapply it, reskin it, do it here. A lot of times it's just you have so much experience and diverse experiences to pull from that you can always bring new things to the table, you know? So I think that's where most people find value with agencies, particularly with ours. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So here at the Brand Amp now, not only do I oversee all that power sports, and that's mainly overseeing everything that's done, so PR work, social media work, or whatever. But I also, about 11 years ago, we decided to start our own in-house video production and content department. And all the ideas we were coming up with for marketing campaigns had a content or video component, whether it's an episodic series of branded entertainment or videos around influencers that are associated with the brand, or just straight ahead product videos and stuff like that. And we were just contracting it out all the time. You know, everything was going out to a third-party vendor, production house or whatever. But we were like, let's bring that in-house. Let's hire our own shooters and editors. So I spearheaded that part of our business. And so now for the last 10 years, that's been actually about 65 to 70% of my time is running the video production department here.
Well, and then that was part of my next question, because even, you know, as recently as such, it's not just running that department, but now you're hands-on.
Oh yeah.
You're directing, you're producing.
Oh yeah, it's, again, my favorite thing about my journey has been being able to continue to grow and develop new skills. So like, man, we started that 11 years ago. I'm 55, like, so here I am 43. I always had visions and ideas, and I knew in my mind, it was no different than in music. I played drums in all the bands I was in, but I wrote half the songs. And because I may not know, is that a G chord or a triad chord or whatever, but I could sing it, I knew it was in my head, and I could verbalize it or sing it or whatever to my guitar players. I've always been, one of the things I've always been strong in is whatever's in my mind, being able to get it out and communicate it to somebody else in a manner where they can really see pretty closely to what's in my mind, right? And if you can do that, you can get people to rally behind something, you can get teams of people to create something that just started out in your noodle, right? And so it's no different than that. When I started, I knew the kind of shots I wanted in a video. I wanted to open like this, and I would do storyboards, and I would go and find example frames and still do that, but I didn't know, oh, what lens do we need to use for that? Or God, man, was my mind blown the first time I worked with real gaffers.
Yeah.
I just was like, whoa, like that's everything, right? Like and so this journey, running this department and being the creative lead in the department has been incredible, because I got 3 incredible shooter editors. These guys are so talented. And I always say to people, if you want to learn and learn fast, don't pretend to know what you don't know, and be vocal about what you don't know. Tell people, hey, I don't have a clue about this. And they will, number one, it's endearing when you're honest and friggin' humble about it. Number 2, they will come alongside you and they will teach you. And that's been my journey here, is I've been blessed to have these incredible shooter editors and colleagues I'm working with, and the gaffers of the world that we hire that become my buddies, who will not just do it for me, but they'll say, here's what I'm gonna do and here's what I'm gonna use, and I just start soaking it up.
Yeah.
And so now, 10 years ago, I didn't know shit. Now, I can tell you, we need to use mist filters on this shoot, or an anamorphic lens to get, or whatever those things are, or even with gaffers and lighting, and we need a 600 for this. Just knowing, is such a cool and empowering thing. But
it makes you way more versatile when you can, instruct and, as you say, get that idea out of your brain to be able to speak their language clearly, and then to have them go, oh, he knows what he's talking about, gives you that respect piece too.
And I'm still like, listen, I know real directors. They're buddies of mine. They're incredible. And a lot of real directors, I think the thing that sets a real director apart, in my opinion, is they had a background as a DP and a videographer. 9 times out of 10, a director isn't just some schmuck like me who never was behind a camera. 9 times out of 10, that director was a videographer, was a cameraman or a DP, a director of photography. And so they know all the technical underpinnings of that mood or shot or vibe they want. In most cases, one of my really close friends, I'll give him a shout out, his name's Chris Zamashanik. Everybody calls him Zam, but great guy, has done some of the coolest, most heavy-hitting, action sports-oriented productions. But he worked in film. He worked for major filmmakers. He was on a gaffer crew first, and then he was a cameraman. So I don't have that. Am I good enough now to be dangerous? Totally.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not going to pretend to be what I'm not. Those guys would work circles around me because of the technical prowess and expertise.
Well, and it's fun, and I'll give you the credit, but even as you come into the role as a director, it may not be the same path that the traditional takes. However, the thing that makes you dangerous is all the experience you have elsewhere. Because those are the types of things that lend themselves, the insight into being able to craft and curate these different, offerings that you come up with.
And again, I think it just goes back to the same brain I used as a musician when I was younger. It's just about having a vision in your mind and having the ability to articulate it to other people that can capture it for you. And then that's when things get really good. But you're right. And the other thing that makes me good in this videography or content production role is I'm a marketer, right? Like I can, if I'm coming up with an idea, it's because I understand the marketing objectives of a brand. What are they trying to communicate? What's the narrative they need to communicate in order to ultimately engage a consumer and get them to go and want to buy something?
Right.
So I'm not just coming up with ideas just because it's cool, man. It ladders back to marketing objectives. And so I think that's another thing and I think that's something that makes our production department different than production houses. Production houses typically are given assignments and they're going in and doing all the artistic blocking and tackling for a marketer. But we're a production house that is part of a marketing agency. It's all through the lens of marketing and what our clients need to do. It's in the secret sauce. Exactly. So I feel like that makes us really strong as well. So so anyway, love what I do, love who I do it with, and love the brands I get to do it for. And it's been a great run so far. Super stoked.
When, as you've evolved through all these different phases and experiences, our relationship coming through motorcycles.
Yeah.
We're heading into a time with autonomous vehicles and electric and all these different things. And I've had conversations with racers and riders and all the sorts. What, from your perspective, do you see, as moving forward, working with a lot of these great brands, do you see for the motorcycle industry? Like, what do we...
Man, there's so much to unpack in that, but I thought you might ask me that. I thought a little bit about that heading over here today. 5, 6 years ago, 7, it was about electric. This is where it's going, electric, and there's still a lot of people banging that drum.
Boogie, woogie, woogie, woogie.
But look at the automotive industry. Electric is now here. Every brand has EV offerings. But ain't nobody giving up on their combustion vehicles, right? Like at the end of the day, people like their fuel, people like motors and power, and they like the roar and they like the smells. And
I live in College Park. It's Hellcat country over there.
Totally. And especially with motorcyclists, they like the mechanics of a motorcycle. Who doesn't like the way an exposed V-twin engine looks in a bike, right?
Yeah.
And so it's that ornate craftsmanship. It's like a wristwatch almost, where you can see the gears and stuff, right? So there's that part of the appeal, and it's the sound too. It's the volume, and it's the feeling of that volume, that visceral sound, and it's listen, motorcycles, it's smell too. Like, who doesn't like the smell of oil and grease? I love walking into a shop or garage, right? And it's just,
I think he's got it pumping in this room right now.
It's, so do I think electric is gonna continue to be a thing? I think it will, but I don't think it'll be any different than it is with cars. I don't think it's gonna do anything to take away from the core audience value and sustainability of gas-powered combustion engine motorcycles, right? But the bigger question about motorcycles is generational, you know? Like, when we were kids, the cool kids on the block had little 50 Hondas that they ripped all around the neighborhood, right? And then they got dirt bikes, and I'll never forget how vivid in my mind the impression it was of, his name was Philip Williams. He lived 10 houses down the block, and you would hear Philip coming.
Yeah.
I forget what he had. I think it was a Yamaha. I forget the make of the dirt bike, but he would rip that brapping beast up and down our block, wheeling it, and I'll never forget that. That was just like, whoa, that is rad, you know? So we grew up with that. It wasn't like motorcycles were risky they were just badass, you know, and you just did it. And then this whole, I don't want to be that old guy, but a part of me is that when you get into kind of, I don't want to say first era of millennials, but maybe the back half of millennials into the, Gen Y and Z, right? Parenting changed. You know, when we were kids, it was like, be back when the street lights turn on.
Yeah.
And it was like, parents didn't know where we were or what we were doing. You know, it was just, we had this autonomy and this freedom, and they didn't want us sitting around the house rotting. It was like, get the hell out, go do shit. Take your bike, that's why we bought it for you, and go do shit.
Yeah.
And we would go out, and so many things happened as a result of that. But one thing that happened is you develop confidence and a little bit of courage, because you weren't being shielded and sheltered. And I think what's happened is, I would say there's a chunk of maybe 30 years now of people that have grown up and they weren't encouraged to do that. It wasn't get the heck out of the house. It wasn't like, you know, nowadays.
A little more risk adverse.
Yeah, you tell somebody you drank out of the water hose, like, what? Oh my God, like, what the fuck? It's not gonna kill you.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a whole different mentality now. And that's my biggest concern is, I think that ties directly to the challenges the motorcycle industry has had. And I think anybody in the industry will tell you that what I'm saying is not brain surgery and nothing they haven't heard and nothing people don't know. But I don't know that anybody has the answer for that yet. That to me is the biggest concern is are people gonna be willing to basically accept the risk of riding motorcycles? I mean, that is a big deal to me. And I think a lot of times people in the industry are so core about it and so diehard about riding that maybe they don't see it that way. But I think you gotta pull yourself away from that, and you gotta remember that there's a shit ton of people who, dude, they're risk averse by nature. They don't want to take that chance. Like, those of us that ride motorcycles know that it's that reality in the back of your mind that I could lose my life today if I'm not on top of my shit and paying attention. If I'm not a good rider, if I'm not an alert and aware rider. And I think that's what a lot of us like about the motorcycle is we're in that moment, we're fully fixed and alert because we have to be. Now you forget that you have to be after you've been doing it for a long time. But you get reminded real quick, right? You get reminded real quick when some knucklehead makes a left turn in front of you or pulls out of a driveway, you get reminded real quick. But that's the real issue, and I don't have the answer, you know? Part of the answer to me is, hey, people, force your kids to do shit that where they might break their wrist. You know, it's a good thing that we were out building jumps with plywood and bricks and jumping our bikes over shit and breaking up our elbows and wrists. It's a good thing that we were climbing trees and doing shit that was stupid. Yeah. You know, it's like a part of me, like, I like when my son's doing that now. My son's out on the blacktop and he's trying to do power stops and slides with his bike.
10 years old.
And my wife gets a little sketchy, and I understand that too, because I love the kid. I don't want anything to happen to him. But there's also part of me that's like, yeah, more of that. Because I know it's building a muscle inside him. And that muscle is courage and strength and confidence. And so, to me, okay, we can talk all we want. Is it going to be Cruiser V twins? It's going to be adventure bikes? It's going to be electric bikes? motorcycles are motorcycles, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's
two wheels. The bigger question to me for the industry is, generationally, can a paradigm shift where parents start to realize that they have to put their kids in positions of risk, that it's important, and that their kid should suffer a little damage every now and again. They should, because it's going to strengthen them and make them confident. And to me, when that mentality becomes something that people really prioritize in terms of how they raise and develop children, that's going to be a real good thing for the motorcycle industry if that happens. Again, that's lofty, big, esoteric shit, but
as you describe it, I'm just trying to, like, from a macro level, like, what changed for, like, the last 30 years that, has people a little more risk adverse, and whether that's socioeconomic differences, we're not at war, this, that, or the other, that now people are a little more averse and sheltered or, things change, people evolve, worlds, get a little crazy at times. And so what would that shift back into some type of reality where motorcycles aren't so scary, but they're more of a necessity and a badass thing to do? It's not to say that we're heading into a Mad Max era where it's like, well, we're all going to be holding down our own forts. But, who knows, right? Because exactly as you described with two wheels being two wheels, what does the future look like? Who knows? But there's just so much mystery to all of it. But being somebody that, like, ascribes to the lifestyle with motorcycles, like being able to put a bomb between your legs and play in traffic, that's always been my, like, go-to for, it's such a great mitigator and equalizer between individuals, because it just cuts the bullshit in a world that can be so full of shit. You hop on a motorcycle, you either ride or you do not.
Here's what I hope happens. Because, like, that stuff's not dead. There's other things that actually have emerged, right, that might be akin to that kind of skin-thickening, muscle-building stuff for kids. Like, for example, I really think, like, the emergence over the last 25, 30 years of the UFC was important for reasons people don't understand in some ways, right? Because now a lot of kids are doing jiu-jitsu classes and taking martial arts. That's become a thing. And that stuff's important. And I think what'll happen, I would hope, I know this is the way I see it, I want my kids to succeed. I want them to crush the competition. I want them to learn early on in their life that once they get outside of our house, all bets are off. And they got to be tougher, they got to work harder, they got to go faster than the other guy. And if they do, the bar's not that high, I don't think. I tell people this all the people come in and meet with me, informational interview, or a new staff member. What do I need to do to succeed here? It ain't hard. Most people want comfort. Most people want a balance. And they want to just cruise here. So if you're the guy that's willing to say, fuck balance, I want to win. And all you got to do is just go a little harder. If somebody says, here's what I need from you on this assignment, and here's what success means, there's that bar. Okay, just go another notch higher. If you just do that, you will set yourself apart from 90% of people. I went through my whole life being this passionate, intense Italian cat, right? And everywhere I went, people gave me nicknames. At DirecTV, they called me Turbo. And at my first agency job, my boss nicknamed me the Cannon. You just got to point him in the direction you want, light the fuse, and then blow shit up, And I would sit there and go, I'm not doing anything that didn't feel extra.
People don't have it.
Not everybody does. People don't realize that if you just grind
it's funny, you can't even teach them.
And so what I think what we're getting at is, I hope that, because I think it's the guys, the kids right now that are going to jiu-jitsu classes that are going to be the ones that are be the barons of industry in the future, right? They're going to be the ones, because they're going to have this muscle, this skill, this mindset that's going to allow them to, without any extra effort, operate at a notch above everybody else, work a little harder, absorb some pain to get to an outcome. And so my hope would be that people kind of see, man, that's pretty important that we get our kids into those situations. And then maybe a larger mentality continues to expand and grow around that. I don't know. It's hugely philosophical, but
well, and just for our folks at home, I know our macho man behind the desk has come across as Turbo Cannon Man, but his heart is as big as his drive, and so just as much, tough machismo as you exude, you have the same level of empathy and kindness I see for others as well. And so just so everybody at home knows.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you saying that, though,
coin.
because it's been the double-edged sword my entire life, right? And even here at work, like I'm the guy, staff members come in this place and look at me and look at this place and my tats and all this stuff, and they're like, oh man, I don't know about this guy. And there's trepidation with a lot of people, not everybody, but some. And I know I can come off that way. But I'm also the guy, I like to think, that you can come in my office, close the door, and break out about something really personal that's happening, or that you need some money or you need a favor or whatever. And I'm that guy. Like, I do take it personally. A lot of people feel like you need to keep a separation between the personal side and the business side. But my attitude is, we spend more time working together here than we do at home with our families. I think it needs to be personal. I want to know said individual, what makes them tick, what troubles them, what trials or challenges they're dealing with. I want to know that. Because we're going to be more present, we're going to be more connected, and the more trust we have, the more confidence we have in each other, the better work we're going to do together. And guess what? The more rewarding our work time that we're spending together is going to be, you know? And I can honestly say, my closest friends in my life are friends through work, are the people I work with and colleagues I have in the industry, and because I think it's important to take it personally. If it doesn't feel personal, then I don't think you really care enough, you know? So that's kind of the way I roll, and I do wear it on my sleeve. I'm not a guy that knows how to work angles. I've never been a guy that's good at playing politics, because I can't act a way that I'm not feeling. If I'm happy, you know it. If I'm pissed, you know it. And I'm not a good poker player, put it that way. I could never bluff anybody. You know, I do not have it in me. So I appreciate you saying that, because I do think that's important to me and a big deal.
And it's something I'm keenly aware of from my own personal experience with you. And so I just wanted to be clear, because I do think that, as you described, all of that is very applicable in to succeed. And then when you work with so many other folks, it's always impressive when you're like, you could have just, you know, if the bar was here, if you just moved it just that much further, but they don't have that own gumption inside them. And I don't know what that is along the way that doesn't just like, you know, some you know, skew a little more intense where it's like, you can dial it back a little bit, but like for some that just don't even have that, you're like, I don't know what you didn't get along the way.
That's right.
Nobody punched you in the face or something, but.
And it's a hard thing to develop too. Like, you either kind of run at that level of octane or you don't. So and the personal stuff, like we talked about, it is the most important thing to me. Like, the most gratifying shit for me is the calls I've gotten from people I work with, or even people in the industry, friends of yours and mine, and there's many of them, that had nothing to do with work. Hey, can I talk to you? Can you meet me here and just talk? Maybe it's because I'm that older dude, I'm 55, you know, and some of these dudes are in their 20s or late 20s. But that means so much to me, that somebody trusted me enough. They thought to themselves, Mark, he's a guy I can go to right now. He'll give me his time, he'll give me his heart, and he'll give me his energy if I need it in whatever capacity. That is, to me, those are the greatest moments for me. That's the shit I remember and the shit I cherish the most. It's not about winning this new piece of business or this great campaign we did. I love that shit too. But the stuff that really means the most is the stuff that translates back to relationships, and that somebody saw me for who I really am, and with that came their trust, and they reached out to me when they needed something, when they were in a time of vulnerability or need. That's a big deal, man, you know? And so I'm hoping at the end of the day, that's the shit people might say about me someday, is like, hey, that dude was there. That dude was there. When I knocked, he opened. When I needed him, that dude was always there. And I think it's funny, if anybody who works with me sees this, they're gonna laugh, because they will say this to you themselves. There's a lot of people who probably, that dude's an asshole. I get it. I know who I am. But, you know, it's the people that know that, like you just said, that I got a big ass heart. So, yeah. Anyway.
With the industries that we've connected in, like, you know, I work in several different others. You work in several different others. Is it unique to say that motorcycles, being this connecting force, I just find that interesting, like, and what that means, and a lot of the relationships that we have, you know, mutually, you know, it's through motorcycles. I don't know why that just like kind of pings my brain now. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Because we have so many different avenues, whether it's music or like, any of the other things that we do, that's the one thing that really resonates.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like we talked about with the art community, it's shared mindsets and shared priorities, and, the motorcycle community, it's funny. Because if you're in the motorcycle community, you certainly know that the poles of liberal versus conservative are very diverse, right? We all know there's a lot of really avid conservative,
very polarizing.
Yes, and there are a lot of liberal dudes too, right? But it's funny because the motorcycles are a powerful unifier and a powerful linking factor. And I got friends of mine that are politically on the other side of the universe. But man, we're tight, we're homies, and it doesn't matter that ideologies are that opposite, because we're linked by this mentality. And I think it goes back to that mentality we're talking about, that willingness to accept risk, respecting another person who lives that way too, It's almost like it's like the old freaking wave on the road, right? Yeah. The wave on the road's a big deal. Like people think that, to me, it's like that, it's that symbol of, I know you're wired like I'm wired, because you're willing to be on that thing, going 85 miles an hour down the freaking freeway with the wind in your hair and a freaking beastly motor between your legs. Yeah. And so I think that it's just a really strong community. And I think people have a level of mutual respect and admiration because we all love this thing that is sometimes risky and dangerous, but is incredibly free and liberating and invigorating. And so to me, I think that's that connectivity. And I think it's a small community too, and so small. People I think look out for each other, and that's why you got to be a good dude, right? Like, because if you're not, it's a small community, and you're gonna be punished in a way for that. You're gonna get ostracized, or people are just gonna be like, no. So I think it's important to be real and to be authentic and to do what you say you're gonna do. That's really important, because if you don't, you get sniffed out and kicked out real quick.
It's interesting because even from a macro view of just like motorcycle and riding culture, where you gotta you're looking out for your brothers out there and sisters accordingly, but there's just a level of trust you have to have with complete strangers in big murder machines. Yeah, like we're all cruising down the highway together, and we all just collectively go, all right, don't kill me. Okay, cool. Yeah. It's just funny that there's this underlying like trust that we have with strangers that like I wouldn't let them hold my hand, let alone let's go 90 and see how this goes. Yeah. That's just funny.
It's totally. So anyhow.
With what you've been up to and where you're going, and then whatever the future may have between motorcycles and all the other brands you have, do you have things that you still have like kind of a bucket list, an internal like, what I want to do, haven't had the opportunity yet, or something you may want to get into?
Man, it's a good question. There are areas of culture that we don't get to work in maybe so much. I'd love to find more ways to bring my love of art into what I do. Some brands have been doing that lately, and I'm like, man, I wish I worked on that. Like Mattel has been doing a lot of art-inspired limited edition toys. There's a huge gallery in LA called Corey Helford Gallery, and they just had a huge, one of their most recent shows was for Mattel's, I'm a knucklehead for forgetting what year it was. I want to say it might have been the 50th anniversary, but I think Mattel might be a little older than that. It was a huge anniversary for Mattel. And so Mattel basically, the gallery curated and commissioned 50 different artists to create paintings inspired by something from Mattel and toys from their childhood. And different painters take it to all these different ways and different extremes. So that was really cool. I had one time when I got to do that when Indian launched FTR. The second year they launched FTR. The FTR, if anybody knows it, it had an air box where a fuel tank normally is. The fuel tank was under the seat. And so you had this air box, and those side panels that looked like a gas tank, and we all know the gas tank's the most prominent and focal point of a motorcycle, they popped off with 6 screws. Literally pop them off in 2 minutes. And so they wanted to sell and create a limited edition line of tank covers or airbox covers. And so we went out and commissioned 5 artists to design covers. And this is one of the coolest programs I've ever worked on because I finally got to bring my art love into the motorcycle stuff and into my normal work. And we had Steve Caballero, the skateboarder, who's also an animator and illustrator. We had D-Face, big-time London artist. We had Risk, if anybody knows Risk, he's one of the first graffiti artists who turned graffiti into gallery high art. We had another artist from Minneapolis, Adam Turman, and then another one, Thank You X, he's more of a modern art Jackson Pollocky guy, but this dude's killing it now. His stuff's getting auctioned at Sotheby's and all the heavy hitting stuff. But those guys they all developed tank covers. We filmed a video series around the vision they had for their tank cover, why they did it the way they did, them designing it. And then we unveiled them all at Wheels and Waves in France. And in Biarritz, dude.
Yeah,
what a trip that was. And we got to fly out there.
Thanks for the invite, dude.
We got to fly out there with all these artists.
Yeah.
I just want to do more of that. Yeah. More of the stuff where I can take what I love. Last year in this Forge series, we've been doing this Forge series for Indian Motorcycle for 4 years now. And just in case anybody knows, we have renowned custom motorcycle builders develop custom Indians, and it's a different model we focus on each year, whatever the model that's new or that's relevant that year for Indian is. And so we have these customizers customize them, but then they customize them and give them to an influencer. And obviously the influencer lets us tie some entertainment value into it, expands the reach of the program. We also get to hang out and do some shit with some cool people. And we've had like John Bernthal and Nicholas Holt, top tier, Hollywood actors. We've had musicians, but last year, it may not mean a lot to everybody else, but for me, it was rad, because last year we had a Swedish builder, Rona Noren from Unique Custom Cycles, who's one of the godfathers of stretch choppers in the Swedish long fork chopper. We had him take an Indian Scout, and he turned it into a chopper. And he built his for a guy that people may or may not know, an OG drummer named Mickey D. Who is Mickey D? Mickey D is the longest tenured drummer for Motorhead. And now he plays for the Scorpions. And so not only do we get to build a bike for a drummer that I grew up listening to and woodshedding on and hang with the dude, but we got to fly out to Prague because that's where the Scorpions were on tour. And we got to bring the bike to Mickey D. We took it up on stage before the concert, filming, doing video and photos on the stage with the drum kit. The day before that, we took Mickey out, went riding in the Czech Republic countryside. It was more of that, please. Like I just want to do more of that. I can't say that there's something that I haven't done or haven't accomplished or whatever. It's all worked out pretty damn well for me. I think what I like right now is to be in a position where I kind of have all my boxes checked, right? I'm doing something I love where I get to be very creative, and that's been very successful for me. And it's allowed me to indulge in shit like art and buying art and all that, which is kind of a, let's say my pinky should be out drinking tea, right? Like that. But I also got my kids, I got a 10-year-old and 8-year-old, and my wife, and our family unit is just tight. And it's a really great place to be, man. Where you kind of gotten to these different spots you've been always wanted to get to in your professional life, your personal life, and in your hobbyist, outside interests. And it just feels really good, man. Like I feel like I got the world by the balls.
Hey. Yeah. Well, so that, two things come to mind with that. One, in the position that we operate in as marketers, creators, artists as such, it's always interesting when you end up in a situation that you could not pay, like a millionaire, a billionaire, maybe a billionaire, but you couldn't pay for some of the experiences that we get to go do, that we're not only participating in on however we're doing, but we're usually getting paid to do it.
Oh yeah.
And so it's this real interesting contrast of like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like I'm in Prague with this guy I grew up listening to, and I'm being paid to go on a motorcycle ride, and then we're going on stage later, and we're gonna okay, sure. And it's just like it's this weird
dude. If you can't,
it's wild.
If you can't be happy in that, then you should probably go jump off a building. You know what I mean? It's probably like I'm serious. Like it's like you just nailed it. That's the coolest shit, dude. One of the things I love doing the most. I'm deep in the Indian business, and they're like family to me, and I feel like I'm as much a part of that company as the people that are under the Polaris umbrella and Indian umbrella. But we get the privilege of documenting and filming all of their motorcycle racing. And so what that's done is it's put us right in the middle, if anybody follows bagger racing and how big it's gotten, it puts us right in the middle of the most long-tenured, historic American rivalry, this Harley and Indian thing. And it is so cool to be there. It's so cool to be on pit lane when they're prepping and they're revving motors and they're ready to drop the hammer and go. Yeah. And the palpable nature of this rivalry, you know, like the Harley people see us and we see them and it's like side eye and walk away. And it's funny because like, I respect those people. Like I got a Softail Standard, it's my first bike, it's in my garage, you know? But it's so cool. It's like what you just said. It's such a unique, narrow niche thing that's so cool and so real, and very few people get to be in the place I'm in, where I'm right in the middle of it, crafting and curating that story from Indian's perspective. It's really, really cool. And it's just another example of what you just said. Yeah. One of those things that I pinch myself and go, man, like I'm in this. You
can't, you literally can't script it. Like you're like, all right, so this is how it's gonna go. You're like, okay, sure.
And everybody in it, I think, is loving it. Like I look across the way at my marketing counterparts at Harley, and it's almost like, there's like this rivalry and there's this competition, but there's almost like a sense of like, ain't this fucking cool? You know, like
it's like professional wrestling. You know, like you're going.
You know, it's cool, and you know they're getting off on it like you are, and guess what? They're just as important to this as I am to them, because without us doing what we're doing, then what they're doing really doesn't mean as much. And same with that. And win or lose, it's just so rad to be a part of it. And so again, one of those things you're talking about, that where you just find yourself in situations and you go, damn, I'm lucky and grateful. So
super cool. Well, the second part of that question is, with the world you operate in and as a marketer in all things, the future. Influencers have kind of had, they run a show for a little while, but we're going through a time where I feel like, with the ebbs and flows of things, there's such a desire for authenticity. And some of the influencers and a lot of the smoke and mirrors of algorithms and analytics, and you can just pay for this bot and this AI tool, that it's kind of jack shit. And so I'm looking forward to that time, because a guy like me can then kind of rise, rise with the tides. But because I'm a lived experience dude, like I'm the same on socials as I am in person, and more to the point, at live event or wherever I find myself. What do you see from your position, and how do you, like, do you have an internal team of like, all right, guys, what do we see in the next 6 to 12, and then 5 to 10, and like, how do you do that?
Man, well, we do the best we can. Like sometimes you're so focused and absorbed in getting the work you're doing now done that it's hard to kind of keep that eye on the road ahead. And we don't really have, I would say, people who that's just their job. But I will say that we do have specific people here that are just, they're looking ahead. They're people that are prone to that. It's kind of the way they're wired. I think about my business partner, Charlie, who runs our digital department, and he always was that way. He was, even when, man, I'm going to date myself, but I was there working in marketing when social media emerged. And it was just Twitter, and then Facebook shortly after, and before all that was MySpace, right, and like that kind of crap. Really archaic old shit. But Charlie was always out in front on that stuff. Always knew where it was headed and was on that train early. He's been an asset in that way for those types of things. I think we're all really getting our wrenches and our microscopes out right now on AI and how it's going to affect things. How can we use it as a tool that enhances our work? But AI is exciting and scary at the same time, right? Because it's going to take people's jobs. And I think it's just going to make what you just said, authenticity, creativity, those things are going to become more and more valuable because of the kind of automated capabilities of something like AI. Because there will be great ideas that AI comes up with, even now. Like one of the things we do as an element of brainstorming, we get in a room and we sit together and we bring all these inputs in and try to create outputs that are really creative and ideas. But we also throw some scenarios and some inputs at ChatGPT and see what kind of stuff it spits out. I'd say 7 out of 10 things it spits out are like, yeah, whatever. Like they're. But every now and again there'll be, put that one on the list. That's pretty good, and might trigger some thinking. So I think AI is again, I'm saying another thing that everybody's going to go, no shit, Sherlock. Yeah, but it just is. The reason I'm saying it is because it is probably the most prominent new frontier that could make or break, and probably will do both.
Yeah.
But, you know, you just got to stay out in front of things, right? And you got to understand these things. I do think that in the world, that so much of our world now operates within and from social media. It really is the largest platform of consumption. Mm-hmm. It's not normal, you know, television stuff or even regular, it's not even streaming, it's not that. Think about it, like I'm on social media to interact with friends personally. I'm on social media to engage in and be fed the things I'm interested in. Mm-hmm. That's one thing, like a lot of people don't like the Big Brother aspect of Instagram or social media, and like, I like it. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't I want shit I like served up to me?
Yeah.
I don't want to have to go hunting down, right? Yeah. So guess what? Like shoes I dig, golf clothes I dig, art.
You've built
Dude,
brick
you know
by
how
brick.
many, the algorithm knows me well, brother. And you know how many incredible artists I discovered because it popped up in my feed, because the algorithm knows that's my shit. So, like, yeah, I think that, kind of lost my train of thought of where we were going there.
Just the future of what...
But the authenticity, and social media being the thing. That's not going to change.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, I just don't see that changing. I get my news on social media, right? Like that's where that happens. So I don't think anything's going to change with that, but I do think the underpinnings of it are what's important. This constant cat and mouse game that has to be played with the platforms and the algorithms. It's a constant, you know, consumers adjust or marketers adjust, and then the algorithm adjusts back and puts a block up on you. And that's really something I don't think is ever going to stop.
Yeah.
You and I have talked about it, about that, you know, things don't go viral anymore. The algorithms are smart. The platform operators are smart. Mm-hmm. And things won't go viral anymore because algorithms, the platforms need to monetize things, right? Something going viral is not good for Instagram unless it went viral because you put some paid media support behind it. Yeah. And that's kind of a requirement now. If you don't put paid media gas into the engine, this many people are going to see it. I don't care how good the content is. The only stuff now that's going to continue to go viral every day is going to be controversy. Yeah. Somebody got popped with a prostitute, somebody got busted doing a drug deal, some prominent person. Like, that's what will continue to go viral without any paid support. Right. Because that's the shit.
I'm doing it all wrong. Yeah. Dang it.
But I just think, you know, I don't think this whole algorithm battle, cat and mouse game, I don't think that's stopping anytime soon. Yeah. And AI certainly is not going to slow its roll. These are going to continue to be the things that I think people, you know, what's the next thing? I don't know. Yeah. You know, I don't know. You know, it was TikTok there for a while. That's leveled out, still prominent, still successful, still important. What's that next thing? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it'll be developing AI alter egos of yourself. You have young kids. And living alternate digital realities with some AI constructed and alter ego. I don't know, man.
Well, and so for
it's gonna be like Ray Bradbury shit, man. Deep sci-fi craziness.
But with your son, he's a gamer. Because I feel like that's just kids, and
it's huge.
They're spending more money on skins and like the outfits in the game than they are in their own. And so when that's just
they're spending, I'm spending that.
Anyway, correction.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Big deal. You know, the future is bright and bold and terrifying at the same time, and I'm excited to go there as long as I'm permitted to participate.
Yeah, me too, dude. It's like that movie Ready Player One. Yes. Right? You've seen that movie. I do think that's going to be, people are going to spend as much time living in their digital verse as they are in their organic.
The e-world, e-gaming is I think far more like superseding, financially speaking, than all your traditional sports at this point.
Agreed.
I've shot a different thing. When I was shooting for the Forum, we would have these big competitions come, and it was just wild the amount of attention and money they'd spend, because not only you're getting fans in the seats, but then the eyeballs online are just and that's obviously
I don't know. I think maybe why are we not yet able to attend an incredible concert virtually? Not live streamed, but you know what I'm saying? But as if you're in.
I got some friends to introduce you to.
Really?
Because back in Atlanta, I had a guy on this show right here that I'm doing now. His name is oddly Dreambeard.
Okay.
I'm Badbeard.
Really?
Dreambeard, yeah. And he works at a studio that is entirely VR. And so they've had, MGK, they've had, you name it, on their thing. And it's an entire 360 green screen room with the full LED, it's everything.
Yeah.
And it's for that metaverse experience where you put on your goggles and you can then watch a concert, which they can do it live, but then they also have your first-person FPV view where you can interact, and they'll say, hey, this is so-and-so, and they'll run the whole show that you can participate and watch, but then they do it live as well.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely what is already available.
Yeah.
I'll show it to you after this, but...
and I mean, we've all been hearing about like that stuff, and it gets crazy, and they get into like the adult entertainment industry world, and you're like,
you just gotta turn on Star Trek. Star Trek already has it laid out.
Shit.
Look out.
Like, yeah, dude, it's true.
Well, selfishly, I have a premier, player from the brand AMP, and I have your undivided attention.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to leverage some free business advice.
Okay.
So as you understand me and kind of, a handful of my operations, and as we were just describing, pay to play when it comes to social media and virality and things like that, with what you understand, which is hard to understand at all the different hats I wear, what would be some advice you'd have for me as I try to, continue to expand my brand? I wanna move, not just in the motorcycle space, but then just how do I continue to grow Badbeard to a place that I'm not twisting all the knobs and levers solo? Like, how do I get support in my process and experience so I can actually scale? Because I've built my own ceiling and I'm beating my head against it.
Yeah. It's a tough one. Sam, I look at what you've done and I feel like you've done the right things. That a person kind of on their own, independent, can do. And one of the main things I think is impressive and valuable about you, and I think you need to continue to drive that part of things, is you offer multiple aspects of value. Okay, you could be an on-camera guy. You're incredibly good on camera. You're personable. And when I say on camera, it doesn't just on camera, I guess. The way I should put it is your personality is one skill. You could be a VIP on-site experiential host for an event. That could mean an event where you're a host, like on camera, but it could also mean the guy that 20 VIP people are going to be somewhere, and you're the guy that's going to show them a good time. So you have all these personality skill sets that translate. That's why the podcast is awesome and makes sense for you. It's why it's acting, all that aspect of you. But you also have, and you've developed better and better technical skills, whether that's photography, videography, all of that. And you understand the marketing side of it, right? And so you have a lot of different weapons in your arsenal, dude. I think that's a critical thing for somebody who's in your situation, because you need to be able to expand opportunity where any one of those things can be your in or your thing. So I think you got to keep doing that. You got to keep on
keeping on.
You got to keep being willing to market each of those things. The collective of them makes you really powerful. Like, to me, you'd be an asset for any brand, right? Because think of all the different things they get from this one guy. That's impressive, and not everybody can do that. So I think that's because some people, like influencers, they maybe don't have the personality, but they're great content creators. They're great content creators. I mean, they suck at content, or they don't even do it, but they're just great. They're on camera. They probably were people who wanted to get into acting or whatever. But you've got all those things. So that's one thing. Other than that, I wish I had a silver bullet, man. I wish I did, because it's difficult. Because so many brands, one thing I would say is do everything you can to continue to grow your platform, because unfortunately, for everybody like me that sees the authenticity you bring, and I think that's your biggest asset, is authenticity, right? Like you just said it. There may be some influencers or some folks out there who have bigger audiences, but they don't have what you have, and that authenticity and that endearing realism of you and who you are. It's not an act. It's not a game. And anybody who watches this podcast and doesn't know you personally, I'll tell you all right now, it's not an act. Like, this is Sam. Like, Sam is the same guy, rolling out of bed in the morning before he's at his coffee, or the same guy when the cameras are rolling, and the same guy when he's at a motorcycle event. And it's not a light you turn on or a persona you assume. It is just you. That's going to continue to be your biggest asset. Yeah. And it's, I mean, I guess it goes back to my drumming days. You just got to expose yourself to as many people as you can, and you got to and you got to just trust that thing I just talked about is going to continue to win people over. You know?
That's how I feel, and it can be frustrating at times because, like I said, I built my ceiling and I'm beating into it, but scaling my operation, because as you describe all these assets that I think are so valuable to any brand, what I've had a hard time doing is putting that into a pitch deck to that brand to say, this is what I do, and the magic is just, it's within that. And then they go, well, is this what you do? And I go, yeah, but I also do this. And they go, oh, well, and it's just like, if I was just the actor, or just the drummer, or whatever, I would have an agent, or I'd have a manager, and then they would offer and sell that individual thing. Yeah. But it's when I operate as an agency almost, it oddly waters down my offering, where it's like, no, that, like, it's an add value because there are so many assets to it, but it's just a weird thing to put into.
Yeah. You've had some success with this.
I flirt with. I get
that's
close
what I
to
mean.
the
Like,
sun.
you've been, some of these things you've been doing where, okay, a brand sees it and they bring you on, and so you're operating as both personality and content guy, and it's all wrapped up into one. I still think there's something there. I wouldn't go to sleep on that. No. But listen, man, it's a crowded, competitive space, bro. It's social media, and it's influencer marketing, and it's all part of that. And there's just so many knuckleheads trying to get into that and make that go. And the good thing is you're not a knucklehead. So
not a knucklehead.
Yeah.
Well, I've had your time and attention for, I can't see how far, but we've been talking for a while. And I don't want to steal any more of your lovely holiday to get home to the family before you go back on the road again. Yeah. But this is now the time of the show where you can bring attention into your camera, anything that is relevant you want to shout out, or just some advice for our friends at home. It's all you.
Well, thanks for having me, and this has been a blast. I knew it would, because I'm doing it with a friend who I care about. But I would just tell people to follow the Brand Amp. If you don't, follow us on Instagram. We do a lot of cool stuff, and there's a lot of great people doing great things here. Watch what we do, and continue to watch what we're doing with Indian Motorcycle. That is definitely a labor of love, and we're part of a movement with Indian Motorcycle. It's an arc that continues to go upward, and it's not stopping anytime soon. Just take my advice. If you're wondering what the difference is going to be in making or breaking your success, the bar ain't that high. Do what I said. Just whatever length everybody else goes, be willing to just go a mile farther. That should always be your mantra, is to take it one step further, 1 hour longer, 10 miles an hour faster, whatever that is, wherever the bar of expectation is, take it one notch up. That's it. And I guarantee you, it's the simplest principle in the world, and I think it would benefit anybody if they would just do it more often. So there you go.
Heard it here first, folks. And with that, thank you so much. I appreciate you and your time.
Thank you too.
I hope you guys have enjoyed yet another wonderful show. Today's podcast brought to you by Charlie and Moon Goat. It's my delicious coffee of the day. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, share, whatever. But we'll see you at the next one.